Hello, hello, hello. Hidden Hermit here. How are you? So it's been an age since I've done a deck showcase. My apologies. I'm terribly sorry. It's something that I do want to do more of. But it doesn't matter. This is the Via Tarot, or the Via Tarot, or I don't know, the 6 Alpha Tarot. I don't know what it's actually called. But it is the deck I'm going to be showing you today. Independently produced, you can tell that by the box, but not that that's a criticism in any way, hardly, not at all, because this is a cracking deck. So it's a hermetic deck, and what I mean by that, it follows the systems by the hermetic tradition, if you like, if that's the right way of putting it. It owes a lot to Crowley's top deck, which is another deck that I truly love with all my heart. And yeah, it does play with the system a little bit in interesting and new ways. And but yeah, I'm not here to go through all the correspondences and the meanings of all the particular cards. I'm just here to show you all the pretty pictures. So I may as well just get cracking. Let's see if I can make this video last less than 40 minutes, because that would be ridiculous. So let's get cracking. Well, here's the back. The back, you got the 7 pointed stars, which tend to help you configure the planets in their particular orders, if you like. You have the cherubs, if you like, Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo, which tarot experts and novices alike will notice from the world card in a lot of systems. You have the Rose Cross in the middle. Again, very much associated with Thelema and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. It's a cracking back. These cards are big. These are big cards as well. I do struggle to shuffle them, but that may be more to my lack of skill of shuffling than it is to the actual card size themselves. The card stock is pretty good, but then I'm not a card stock snob. It suits my needs perfectly. Let's just get going, shall we? So we're starting with the suit of wands. Oh, look at that! It came out reversed. That's no good, is it? I should probably know that. Yep, just a little peek there. So yeah, we're starting with the suit of wands for two reasons. One, the suit of wands is awesome, and two, I wanted to finish up with the mages. Now I'll pause at certain cards because there are some absolutely cracking card images in this deck. Absolutely cracking. So what can I say about this card? It's bright, it's vivid. This dude down here, he pops up a lot. There is the symbol of, in fact, that was one of Crowley's personal sigils. Is that the right word? Motifs, tags. I don't know, but that's one of. I think that's the Beast 666 tag, if you like. And then there's that star, which we're already familiar with. And you get a sense of how this deck is going to be presented with its vivid colours and its the way it focuses on certain symbols. Let's just go, shall we? Go! Two of Wands. There's that dude again. And I do believe that dude bears more than a passing resemblance to Crowley. All the pips indeed have an interesting... what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But it usually has its astrological correspondences up here. And then you can see Aries with the Two of Wands. Indeed, the Two of Wands is Mars in Aries. I'm not sure about the significance of that. I think that's a Hebrew letter. I don't know. Let's move on. And there's a lot I don't know about this deck. I have indeed used it. I have used it in readings. I've worked with it on a monthly basis. Three of Wands, boom. See there, you see the Aries signification there again. I'm pretty sure that it's significant that this Aries is breathing fire to signify the Mars, and this Aries is somehow, I would imagine, signifying the Sun. Three of Wands is the Sun in Aries. The Eye of Horus there. What was I saying before I diverted myself? I don't know. Here is the Four of Wands. Indeed, you see Venus on Aries there. Very, very clever. There's that dude again. Yep, the colours are really vivid, so you've got a lot of purple going on here. And I'm in a purple mood, as you can see. Purple, purple, purple. So the 4 of Wands being purple, I highly approve. Hermit approval. It's very, very cool. So 5 of Wands, look at that. So immediately you see Leo at the top there. Saturn in Leo. It's very clever. Very, very clever. And yeah, a lot of the images do ape. So that I'm thinking of the Golden Dawn ritual, the Golden Dawn Magic Tarot. It does ape those images. So the Golden Dawn had their own system and their own way of illustrating the cards, and a lot of that does come through in this deck. But there's also a lot of differences as well. I do like how this guy here, he's holding up this big sphere that's cracking. That idea of strife and conflict with the 5 of Wands. Very good. 6 of Wands. Let's be victorious, shall we? Look at Leo up there. He's kind of stroking what's going on in there. So the 6 of Wands is Jupiter in Leo. I'm not sure how that... I need a magnifying glass, don't I? It's not going to happen now. I've started, so I'll finish. 7 of Wands. Mars in Leo. Very good. This dude's saying, whoa, steady on. It's just a bit too fire at the moment. I'm liking how the smoke moves in this card as well. Interesting. One of my favourite cards in the whole deck, the 8 of Wands. And you get that sort of buzzing, vibrant feeling going on there. Look at the guy's face here. What's that face saying? It's rather a cheeky face, if you ask me. Interesting, you got the quiver of arrows there, Sagittarius. Very, very good. 9 of Wands. Oh, bless. Yeah, do you know what? I have to admit, I've never noticed the quiver of wands on the dude before, but clearly that's Sagittarius. Very clever. The 10 of Wands. Nice, very, very fiery. That idea of oppression. For me, it's just the little further card. So we're coming on to the court cards now. Now, interestingly, look, I start with the King. Isn't that weird? So it does loosely. In fact, yeah, it's fair to say that it loosely follows the tot system. So instead of a page, you have a princess. And in this deck, it does it slightly differently. So the King, I think, more symbolizes the knights. So the knights, you know, the fiery element, the sense of movement going on there. So this King of Wands could be interpreted as a Knight of Wands in more, let's say, Waite-Smith based decks. You did have a lot of fire there, and I do believe that this lightning could very well be illustrating that Sagittarian element as well. Queen of Wands, another one of my favourite decks, and this Queen of Wands is particularly awesome. Interesting how you have that, I don't know, I think it looks more like a cheetah than a leopard, but it's very similar to the tot deck. In the Waite-Smith, you have that little black cat. There are quite a few boobies in this deck, but you know, that's fine. Excellent stuff going on here. I do love the Queen of Wands, and she does have that pinecone wand again, which is another motif that is similar to the tot deck as well. The pinecone, I believe, to symbolise the pineal gland. So yeah, so we've gone a king, a queen. Now we go on to the prince. So in the tot deck system, the prince generally signifies what we imagine to be the king. And they're all on chariots here, whereas the kings in this deck are all on horseback. These dudes are on chariots, which is very, very excellent. And then we finish up with the princess, which is very, very cool. And I personally prefer the idea of princesses as opposed to pages, but that's just my personal preference. And this Princess of Wands is particularly cool. She has a tiger. I mean, anything with a tiger is going to be cool, really, isn't it? So yeah, I do like that in that that kind of the way the courts flow. So you kind of have the king and the queen heading up the court cards. Then you go on to the prince. So the prince is courting the princess. So you've got the children coming after the paternal and maternal, the parental even influences. It's an interesting way of looking at it, and it's one that I'm down with, depending on what deck I use. Different but interesting. So let's move on to the cups. Here is the Ace of Cups. Notice how our priest, our sage, is now dressed differently to signify the colour of the suit. You'll notice I'm not actually going into like the symbology and the correspondences of every card. This is a deck showcase. I'm just showing you all the pictures. I'm sure you don't mind. But up here, this woman, I am led to believe, is signifying Cancer. The sort of Cancer is associated with mothers and that maternal instinct, and maybe a bit grim. But this woman on the pips of the Cancer cards, she's bleeding from her vagina, which well, I mean, symbolically that can mean all sorts of things. In fact, you know, this Two of Cups, you've got blood going into one and the water of life going into the other. Very, very clever. Very clever. Three of Cups. You've got that moon influence going on there. Moon in Cancer. Is that right? The Three of Cups. No, the Three of Cups is Mercury in Cancer. I do apologise. However, the moon is, of course, the planetary ruler of Cancer. This is the moon in Cancer, Four of Cups. The woman is replaced with just, well, I mean, seriously, it could just be a bleeding vagina, really, couldn't it? And that's probably exactly what it means. Again, you know, I mean, symbolically, it's where life comes from. So it's probably right that we should pay more attention to it. You can see your dude here in his blue robes as opposed to his red robes a lot more clearly. Lots of moon and lotus flower symbology. Cracking, awesome. Just tidying myself up here. Five of Cups. So you get that Martian influence here. So the Five of Cups is Mars in Scorpio. Scorpio, I don't know, is that Scorpio being symbolised by a fire-breathing dragon, or is that the Martian influence? I don't know, let's find out by looking at the Six of Cups, which is the sun in Scorpio. So yeah, we can see that this dragon is symbolic of the Scorpio energy, which is very, very cool. I like that. Seven of Cups. And look what happens. All of a sudden, we get a priestess instead of a priest. Now, there's going to be meaning for it, I'm sure. It's probably a good time to actually mention the teeny tiny book that you get with the deck. That the book, written by I understand a man by the name of John Bonner. Susan Jameson is the artist behind it, and it is my understanding again that she is the main creator of the deck. But the book you get with it, you get an introduction, and it just goes through the majors. A little bit of Kabbalah going on there. Doesn't mention the pips at all. You do, however, get a PDF download with the deck, which goes into a little more detail. So, yep, Seven of Cups, that illusionary influence, and a priestess in blue robes. Don't know if you notice a priestess in the cups. I don't know. Neither do I. I don't remember. But there you go. Eight of Cups, indolence. The one cup spilt there, and look at the dude. He does seem a bit indolent, doesn't he? Sure. Nine of Cups. Let's just start rattling through these, shall we? Almost at the 15-minute mark. 10 of Cups. You know, I'm saying it out loud, but you can just read it yourself. So here we go with the courts. So we'll start with the king, or perhaps the knight. It's actually a rather splendid... If it is corresponding to the Knight of Cups... Not my favourite guy, to be perfectly honest, but this King of Cups is kind of awesome. I mean, just look at his wings. That's just incredible. And again, I'm not talking about the symbology, but what's going on with this flaming thistle-like thing coming from his head. There's a crab coming out of a cup. Powerful image. The Queen of Cups. Here we have it's either a stork or an ibis. I love the idea of this reflection here. I do like decks that play with the idea of reflection with the cups quartz, if you like. It's not easy to say off the fly, cups quartz. Here is the prince, or possibly the king in some other decks, on his chariot there. And finally the Princess of Cups, which is a lovely image. I highly approve of that. I'm not sure if I would advise wearing a swan as a crown. I'm not sure if the swan would be particularly down with that kind of concept, but She's the Princess of Cups, so she can clearly get away with that sort of stuff. Here we go with the swords. Let's get all prickly. So now you can see our priest, excuse me, is wearing yellow. Very clever. You must get quite tired changing so quickly once the deck is shuffled. Who knows? Two of swords even. So we have the moon in Libra. Interesting thing going on with the scales up there. You got a blue and a red polarity, if you like. Lots of flowers. I don't know if you notice how you got all these geometric shapes that highlight certain things on the pip cards. It's very, very clever. Look, we got some symbols on these swords. What do they say? I don't know. I do not know. Three of Swords. Interesting. The Three of Swords in say the top deck. You have the two swords that are bent and the third sword that is crumbling. So it's interesting how these swords are quite solid, but they're cutting off the petals of the flower. I believe it's a lotus flower. Again, in the Hermetic tradition, it is describing that you should be cutting the petals off something. Love this background. It's a very fiery vibe to that. Moody. Four of Swords at rest. Interesting how it's the colours have dulled a bit there in the Libra thing, and very interestingly, so yeah, the Four of Swords, you're thinking about Jupiter in Libra. So there's your little Jupiter glyph up there. Nice. Five of Swords, check that out. That's just amazing, isn't it? That's amazing. Five of Swords is Venus in Aquarius. So you can't really mistake the fact that that naked lady up there is Venus. Don't know what's going on with this. They look like sticky tabs that students use to mark pages. I don't know. Interesting inverted pentagram. Five of Swords is, of course, the card of defeat in the Hermetic tradition. Six of Swords, and you can see the layman of the Rosary Cross there. I believe that guy is potentially showing you that is Aquarius, I would say. So, no, it's Mercury. Of course it's Mercury. Interestingly, I don't know if you can see the Mercury glyph there. It's on its side. I don't know what that means. What is the significance of that? In an interesting pattern with the swords held aloft there. Very clever. Seven of Swords. Yep, nothing to say about that apart from it's very pretty. The Eight of Swords, and check out what's going up here. That's crazy, isn't it? So Jupiter and Gemini. So you've got the two twins there, and they are kind of representative of that idea of being a slightly lost, your own mind playing tricks on you. Very interesting background colour here, and it's coming out really well on the camera, to be perfectly honest. It's not everything else that's going on. There's kind of a sort of a sick purple burgundy vibe. Interesting. Now, why is the priestess here wearing this robe here? Is that to signify Gemini as well? I like to think so. Why the hell not, eh? Nine of Swords. He's lost his layman there. I don't know what you call it. Well, he's lost it wherever it is. That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, that idea of the Nine of Swords, that nightmarish idea of, you know, your own head causing you strife and harm. It's all pointing at his head then. It's dripping with blood. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Notice how the hands are without flesh there. So potentially symbolic of the idea that these ideas do not have a great deal of body to them. I don't know. Mars and Gemini is the Nine of Swords. It's the Ten of Swords. And it is very dark, broody, and I mean, what's going on with all these lights here? Look at that sword there that's broken. And yeah, I'm just trying to count them. So 3, 6, 9, and that is the 10th sword just snapped in half, and that one's broken there as well. Again, powerful stuff. So here we have the King of Swords, or maybe indeed the Knight of Swords, and you do get very much a knighty. The Knight of Swords, as I always like to say, the knightiest knight. He is indeed charging into battle there. Notice you've got the unicursal hexagram on the back of his horse seat, if you like. Queen of Swords. This is a very good Queen of Swords, I think. It does chime incredibly well with what we expect. The Queen of Swords, the Queen of the powers of the air. She's very much aloft, and notice how you've got the severed head, and it very much looks like the severed head in the top deck as well. There you go. If you didn't want any more evidence that these decks, well, it is incredibly inspired by the top deck. Here we have the Prince, or maybe the King of Swords. Notice how his chariot are actually these, well, I don't know, it kind of makes you worry about the idea of child labour, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing too much into things. Princess of Swords. She's a cracking princess as well. Look at the serpents writhing from her hair. Maybe this is Medusa mid-transformation. Awesome. Okay, so we're going on to the Pentacles now. Where have we seen that before? Boom! Pentacles. I can't wait to show the court cards in these Pentacles. I'm a huge fan of the court cards in the top deck, and these do an incredible good job of aping that as well. So here we have the Two of Discs. I may as well call them discs, as that's what it says. So the Two of Discs is Jupiter in Capricorn, and you've got the Baphomet up there to signify Capricorn. Interesting thing going on with the moons here. Not entirely certain how Jupiter is symbolized in the Two of Discs here, but you get that idea of balance as well. Clever, clever. Three of discs. I'm trying to say discs and pentacles at the same time. Foolish. Notice how the Capricornian head there is breathing fire. If you think back to that Two of Wands, which indeed was Mars in Aries, and the 3 here is Mars in Capricorn. It's breathing fire again. Interesting planetary gift there. It looks a little bit like Venus, so I don't know what's going on there. However, you do indeed have the Mars glyph here, slightly on its side. This is a cracking card. I love it. I love the really strong triangle. Lots of sacred geometry going on in there. Three of Pentacles, Three of Discs is the card of work, isn't it? And you've got a lot of great structure there. Awesome. Sun in Capricorn for the Four of Pentacles. Forgive me, I'll call it discs again. Notice how our priest's skin colour has changed. In fact, he looks like a different dude. Well, you're welcome here, mate. Welcome to the power. The four of discs there. The card of Lord of Power. Five of Pentacles. Oh, Five of Discs, excuse me. Interesting thing going on here. You got the Indian Tatwas. I know I haven't said that right, but hey. And yeah, this guy, he's definitely looking a wee bit worried at this point. Good stuff. So Mercury up here, looking very worried. Mercury in Taurus. Where's the Taurus influence? I don't know. Maybe it'll pop up in this card. Oh yeah, there he is. Six of Discs is the moon in Taurus. Quite clearly see that up there. Two moons instead. Moon is exalted in Taurus. We all know this is the card of success and charity. I like to think of it as the charity card. Very, very cool. Very black and broody in the background there. Seven of Pentacles. What's Taurus doing up here? He looks like he's going for a wee little bit of a break. Maybe it's that Saturnian influence. He wants a rest. You can see lots of Saturn glyphs in here. Taurus, Saturn, Taurus. Saturn wins out, doesn't he? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. He does indeed. That idea of, well, you know, in the top decks, in the Hermetic decks, the Seven of Discs is a card of failure, whereas most other tarot systems see it as a card of patience, of harvest, of waiting for things to ripen. Interesting. The Eight of Pentacles, the card of prudence, and then you can see Virgo up there, the Sun in Virgo indeed. It's a nice card, isn't it? You can see things growing. This dude's dress has changed a little bit again. And I've also noticed how sometimes he has the sword and sometimes he doesn't. Do you know what? I don't know what it means. I've told you I have worked with this deck, but to really examine the symbology, it's probably going to take, you know, months, if not years, to unpick it all. 9 of discs. What's going on up here? We see a Venus in Virgo. So there's that that Venus influence up there, and the Virgo influence down there. Yeah, there's interesting things going on with their body language. Nice. So yeah, I mean, this is interesting, isn't it? Let's just revisit that image up there. You've got the 2 volcanoes at the side. Now, the 9 of discs is usually, it's usually a nice card, isn't it? If you think to a Waitsmith, I like to think of it as the baby empress in her garden, enjoying the, you know, her gain, her success. She's comfortable in her garden there. But astrologically, Venus is in her fall. Is it her fall or is it her detriment? It's in that, yeah, Venus is in her fall. Excuse me, I've just made my mind up there. So I don't know, these volcanoes, is that kind of the astrological idea that Venus is in her fall? However, you know, when Venus rocks up in most signs, she brings health and beauty and nice things. So maybe that's why the volcanoes are there. A bit of a sense of conflict, perhaps. 10 of discs. Nice greeny brown hues coming through here in the suit of the earth, if you like. Lots of crazy symbols going on there. I can see the universal hexagram. Mercury's making a little bit of an appearance, because yes, Mercury in Virgo is the astrological idea. What is going on up there? What's with the beasts? Don't know. I'm just waiting just for a second, because we're coming to the quartz in the suit of discs. Boom! King of discs. Again, very, very reminiscent of the top deck, and you get an idea. I mean, you look at the image and you do immediately think Knight of Pentacles, don't you? The Knight of Caution, making sure things are ready before charging in. But I just love his helmet. It's awesome. It's a cool card. It's a cool card. And here we have the Queen of Pentacles. Oh, my goodness. I love this card. I love the Queen of Pentacles. Do you know, it's weird, isn't it, that the quartz in the suit of Pentacles, not really archetypes or energies that I can really either identify with or are comfortable with. I mean, that's clearly my own temperament coming through, but in the Hermetic decks and in this one, I just love the depictions of the Queen and the we'll see the Princess in a moment, but she just looks like such a powerful woman. Tapping into that Capricornican, yeah, I said that right, and that energy there. Some crazy nice things going on with the landscape behind her. I mean, there's just so much going on. I love it, absolutely love it. And you can see the Seed of Life intersposed on there. It's just a beautiful card. I like the quartz in the Hermetic decks, especially in the Via Tarot. They're brilliant. Let's see what the Prince looks like. And again, boom, it's just so majestic and splendiferous. I mean, I just love it. I just love it. I mean, the king, or indeed the prince, astrologically, I believe, is associated with Taurus, and I'm pretty sure this deck agrees. Or rather, I agree with the deck, let's be honest here. I'm just small fry in this whole big landscape that we love so much. Can't wait to show you this. Here is the Princess of Discs. Look at her. She's amazing. She is amazing. Look at the dark, brooding vibes of the colours there. Again, you've got this cool background going on, these rays of light coming out of her. You can see all sorts of... It's just a fantastic card. What's going on here with this purple thing? What's she doing with it? I don't know. Look, the roots, they're going to be significant as well. Love it. Absolutely love it. Have a good look at her. Right, so they're the pips out of the way. Let's show you the majors. Left them here. I mean, again, the majors, there are some absolutely bonkers good cards in here. Let's start with the Fool. There you go. Here's the Fool. He does look somewhat foolish, but he seems really happy to be here. Really bright card as well. Really bright. What's going on with these eyes up here? Don't know. This dog, not very playful. But yeah, some very cool things going on here. You got all sorts of. You got the Auroribus, lion dog, the wand of Hermes, if you like. Really bright sun going on there. Some of the cards in the majors are quite simplistic in their portrayal, and I love this majors. I love it. You know, what's missing from this card is that idea of the different suits coming through. I mean, I don't know. Upon an inspection, you might be able to determine that, but I think it's a really cosmic card, isn't it? I believe that he is performing the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram at this point. You see the pentagrams on all of the cardinal points. I believe that's what he's doing. If you're familiar with the ritual, you call down the light from Keter. You mark out the pentagrams on the points in blazing light. You imagine yourself as a being of the cosmos. So I'm absolutely certain that's what's going on in this card, and you can argue with me if you like. High Priestess. Now that there is a lot of Egyptian mythology bleeding through in here, but you also get quite a lot of Hellenistic. So this could be, you know, the Diana or Athena the Hunter. It's a cool card. I love how you got the sun in this card as well. The sun and the moon. The idea of higher mysteries. Yep, as High Priestesses go, that's pretty cool. But then check out this Empress. Again, this could be Diana or Athena. You do get an Athena vibe from it. This eagle up here as well. Now, I suppose in many ways, a lot of the majors, as I said, are a lot more simplistic in their portrayal as the Pips. The Pips had all that stuff going on, and you had that you know, recurring structure and theme. I do get an idea that perhaps the majors are more straightforward, like, you know, not quite disparate in their imagery, more of a full thing. However, you know, you could argue with that. This is an absolutely cracking Emperor card. I absolutely adore it. Have I figured it out? No, not at all. Not at all. Not in the slightest. You've got again a bit of a moon imagery going on here. 2 suns, 2 moons. This idea of structure as well, and it's just, I don't know, it's just cracking good. You know, a lot of people don't like the Emperor. I say this all the time, but I appreciate that idea of the divine masculine. I think this is a perfect portrayal of something that's, you know, beyond a lot of us, something we need to work with a lot more. The Hierophant. What's going on here? Interesting how you've got the idea of the people bowing down. I like to think that this is the Hierophant. Lots of crazy things going on through. Is this the same guy that in the Pips? I like to think it probably is. Why not, eh? Why not? Lots of crazy cool things going on here. I'll let you think about that one for a while. Not a big Hierophant fan, but, you know, when you get a card like this that's just so deep, that, you know, this demands to be meditated on. It's just, look at what's going on here. It's amazing. Amazing. I could say more, but I'm not going to. The Lovers. The Lovers. Look at the whole idea of that duality. And I've just noticed this. Boom. There's Aphrodite. And there's Venus. Venus, as you see her on the Pips. Same sort of body posture. Look at what she's doing with her hands. We see that in another card we'll see later on. Crazy good things going on here. Truly beautiful as well. Truly beautiful. Boom! The Chariot. The first thing you notice about the Chariot is it's not being pulled by 2 or 4 beasts. There's 3 in here. Here's the quite fierce tigers as well. Tigers are very maternal, and they go to great lengths to protect their young. So that the Cancer attribute of the Chariot card is coming through here. It's a cool card. So this is a Hermetic deck, so you don't find strength at number 8, you find justice or adjustment. And again, just, I mean, look at the stuff going on in here. The idea of balance, the feather of Mat, with the heart of the dying person while they're being judged. Adjustment is, of course, Libra, and Venus is the planetary ruler of Libra. That's very, very clever. Very clever indeed. Are you ready for this? This is a cracking Hermit card. Boom. Look at this. It's just amazing, isn't it? It's almost bringing to mind Salvador Dali's Crucifixion, you know, from the point of view and what's going on there. I mean, what else can you say? You've got the Ouroboros going on here. This is the lamp, the light. It's just a cracking card. I realise I'm starting to repeat myself at this point, but you know what? You've probably got this on mute anyway, and you're just looking at the pictures. Wheel of Fortune, or the Wheel. Lovely to see these Jupiter colours coming through, and a lot of the sort of Jupiter symbology going on here. The Wheel of Fortune. You've got the beasts going around it. Well, they're not beasts, are they? You've got a women with light skin, a woman in dark skin, and a snake. Again, the Ouroboros. But yeah, again, brilliant. Here we have Strength, or as we know it in the top decks, Lust. Again, what is going on? That's amazing, isn't it? That's amazing. That idea of inner strength. You've got two females here. I believe that, oh no, I reckon that could be a male. And that's a female. Or maybe the crone and the maiden. Yeah, they're two women. What am I talking about? It's just, I mean, what's the significance of the thorns? I don't know. Big blazing sun in the background. That's lust for you. Here's the Hanged Man. I don't think there's that much point in me actually saying words at this point, because these images are just cracking. Now, interesting death card. Again, quite simplistic in its portrayal of what we think death may mean. You've got this idea of the cosmos going on here. Interesting pentagram going on. Again, it deserves a lot of contemplation as this death card. Now, you may or may not know that I do have a issue with temperance. However, I love it in the Hermetic decks, the top deck, where temperance becomes art. And again, I mean, just what does it mean? What does it mean? That idea of the alchemical transformation, like she's a statue in one half and alive in the other. The geometric shapes, they mean something as well. It's a pretty arty card as well, to give it its due. But yeah, I think it's better than that Angel of Temperance. I really do. I mean, she could very well be an angel. Look, you see how her aura's blazing on one side, and oh, it's just amazing. It's just cracking. Again, quite a simplistic devil, to be honest. I mean, I think the charred bones, the fact that it's a skull, is significant. You've got the sun up here as well. I don't know. Perhaps one of the weaker cards in the deck. Is that fair for me to say? The eye right in the middle of the forehead here, that's clearly significant. But an interesting devil card. Of course, you get that Capricornian influence in the card as well. Boom. How's that for a tower card? I love this tower. House of God, which is one of the original titles of the tower, if you like. You know, you got that power from the divine coming down. You got the people falling down, but the tower isn't being destroyed. You see a tower on its side there, but you've got these doves as well. All sorts of crazy cool stuff going on in this card. Behold, the House of God from the Via Tarot. Love this star. Love it. Less of a water bearer, more of a rainbow rider. But yeah, that idea of hope as well coming through. Excellent star card, as is the moon. I mean, just look at this. This is absolutely majestic. You got the water element here. How do you associate it with Pisces? I don't know, but just look at it. This woman in reverence to the moon. It's a beautiful depiction of the moon card. The sun, not so much. I think the guy's creepy in this card. I mean, what's going on down here is excellent. You know, the sun right at the center of your life, if you like. absolutely perfect. But this guy, he creeps me out. He really does. And yes, the Hermetic decks top it off with the Aeon there, as opposed to Judgment. And I'm a big fan of the idea of the Eon, the idea of Judgment. We've seen this before. Excuse me. Seen this before with the feather, the sword. Lots of Egyptian. There's Top, there's Anubis. Big fan of Aeon cards. And yes, finally we're at the end of the cycle. Here's the universe. Very reminiscent of the world cards. You have the elements portrayed here: earth, air, fire, water. That could be the Magus, the Hermit, in that sort of supplicant body posture. And yeah, the woman in the middle, just dancing in the middle of the elements, is something that's familiar with a lot of tarot decks. But again, it's a brilliant image. Nice way to finish off this deck showcase of the Via Tarot. I'm pretty sure you can still get them. You may have to search a little bit, but trust me, it's absolutely worth it. I adore this deck. Thanks for joining me.